Hey guys, I just wanted to make this quick video and explain something to you real quick about prepping and why I don't really follow any prominent YouTubers regarding that subject, except for people that I have mad respect for, like Greg Allison and Southern Prepper One. Pretty much, other than them two, I don't follow anybody else on YouTube regarding prepping in the prepping community, and let me explain why. Now, usually the prepping channels, really, they're nothing more than gear reviews. All right, that's first and foremost. Okay, most of the time they're just advertisers for various different products. And if I want a review on a product, I can just check Amazon for that, or Google, or wherever it is that I want to buy the product. Usually I can just read about what people are saying about that product. So as far as I'm concerned, like, number one, that's one of the main reasons why I don't follow, because I'm tired of just gear reviews. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in knowledge, right? I'm interested in learning more about specific topics. Okay. Now, and this is just my own opinion. Okay. Now, the two most important aspects about prepping, I very rarely, if ever, hear any of the prepper channels talk about these two subjects, and they are of utmost importance regarding prepping. Number one is water. I don't care how many calories you got set aside. I don't care how much you spent on your canning equipment. I don't care what kind of truck you got, what it's capable of, what kind of rifle you got, how far the range is, what kind of scope you put on it. None of that matters if you don't take care of your water first. I'm sorry, but I've been studying prepping since about 2006. Okay, I've read countless stories about people who have experienced SHTF scenarios and either survived or not. And I can tell you 90% of the time, it depends on water. It depends on whether you have water. It depends on whether you're able to make clean water and store the water. Those three factors are of utmost importance about 90% of the time. Whether you're in SHTF out at sea, whether you're in SHTF in a swamp, SHTF in a desert, SHTF in the Arctic, and anywhere. That is the most important thing. That will determine whether or not you will make it past 72 hours. Fact, okay? And the thing that usually these people talk about on the prepper channels is water filtration. And that's great. That's fine and dandy. Water filters, water straws, Berkeys, all that stuff has its place in prepping. But if you've got no water to filter, then it's pointless. Okay? So, there are several topics that need to be addressed in the prepping community regarding water that are inadequately addressed. Number one is storing water. How to store water for long term. Number two is how to find water when you don't have any. And then later, which is not as important, is how to filter water. And I'm not saying it's not important. It is important, okay? Knowing how to filter water, there are many aspects of knowing how to filter water. How do you get certain types of things out, right? There's flocculation process, there's reverse osmosis, there's activated carbon, there's distillation. Most people would think distillation is the best way to treat your water, to filter your water. It's not. It's not. Distillation will put volatile chemicals back into your water if you don't have an activated carbon at the filter at the end of it. Okay, and not many preppers talk about that, right? Reverse osmosis doesn't get toxins out. Prepper channels don't really talk about that. And so, yeah, the number one topic that they never talk, that they do very little service on is water and everything related to water. Water storage, water treatment, water filtration, and water recycling, right? And water sourcing water, right? And so that's the main reason I don't follow very many YouTube channels is because of that number one most important topic regarding prepping, water, and the lack of coverage of that topic. The second topic that gets very little attention in the prepper channels, and this is the third reason why I don't really subscribe to many of them, is containers. Okay, now I've heard a lot about different people's take on what starts a civilization, or where do economies begin, right? Some people say economies start with agricultural base or agricultural system. Economies or civilization starts around the grain mill. Or I've even heard people try to make the argument that civilizations spawn or start around the fermenting, like wineries, right? Some people say Egypt started and got so big because it was a hub for wine, and several towns in the United States started because they had a flour mill or a lumber mill. And while all of that stuff sounds, great, and it's important to prepping, knowing how to ferment is very important for preserving stuff. Having a flour mill is important. Having a lumber mill is important. But all of that stuff is not as important as containers. Okay, you can't ferment anything without containers. Okay, you cannot store your flour in your mill without containers. You can't do pretty much anything. You can't store your turpentine without a container. You can't collect water without a container. Guys, there's so, and that's a subject, to be honest with you, that containers are a subject I have never, not once, heard a prepper talk about, ever, in depth. And I would venture to say society, civilization, the economy all depends and started and exists because of containers. All right, containers are the very basic thing for an economy. Without them, you can't do anything. You don't have an economy, you don't have a civilization without containers, or without some kind of packaging. You can't do anything. You can't ship anything. You can't collect and you can't distribute anything without containers. And it's never on the top priority of the prepper channels. They very rarely talk about containers. They might do one or two episodes about, hey, look at these 5-gallon buckets I found, or this is how you make a basket or whatever. But guys, I could tell you right now, all right, if you only have these two items for your preps, you'll do far better than most people on YouTube. If you just have 25-gallon buckets from Firehouse Subs, because they're $3 a piece, right? Firehouse Subs sells used pickle buckets for $3. Comes with a lid and everything. If you had 20 of them, and you filled them up with water, and you know how to store that water for a long period of time, you would be much better off than most people who have spent years watching these prepper channels. If that's all you had, you'd be much better off. Because if the water got cut off, you don't have access to city water, but you got your water preps, you're good, right? Hurricane come through, tornado come through, electricity gets shut off, EMP, whatever. You got your water, you're going to last a lot. I can tell you, you're going to last a lot longer than most people. And you've got buckets that you can do work with. I mean, shoot. You got buckets. You can go out in the woods. You can collect acorns. You go out in the woods. You collect whatever. Amaranth. Mustard greens. Whatever, man. You could put your grains in there and toss an oxygen absorber in it. Guys, anyways, I wanted to rant. I wanted to make that quick video because I think those are the two most important topics in prepping that very little prepper channels give service to. And I'm, just putting it out there. I want you to make sure, you've got those two things squared away. All right, because they are of utmost importance. Okay. Containers and water, right? Food grade containers and water, right? You're only going to last 3 days without water, depending on where you're at. If you're out in the desert, it's probably not going to be 3 days. Okay. I can't tell you how many stories I've read about people not making it solely because they didn't have clean drinking water or water at all, right? Having water is one thing, right? Having clean drinking water is another, right? But you can clean your drinking water, or you can disinfect it just by boiling, right? That's the number one thing usually, that you need to do first and foremost is boil your water and then worry about filtering it, right? You got a liver for a reason, So, chemicals are important to get out. Toxins are important to get out. Yes. But the bugs, the living organisms are more important to get rid of. So anyways, guys, usually more important. Anyways, guys, just wanted to make that rant. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you like what I do, go ahead and check the description and the link below. If you want to buy me a coffee, nobody's bought me a coffee yet, so I guess my videos must not be that great. Anyways, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and as always, don't forget, help out your neighbors. Bye.